Welcome back to Whole Bible Study with Theology. If you're just joining us, we've been following the powerful beginning of the Exodus story. God has called Moses to confront Pharaoh and to lead the Israelites out of slavery. But so far, things haven't gone as Moses had hoped. After Moses' initial appeal, Pharaoh increased the burden on the Israelites, and now Moses is discouraged. This chapter is God's response. He reaffirms his identity, recalls his promises, and speaks directly to both Moses and the people of Israel to prepare them for what's coming. Now let's read Exodus chapter 6 together. Exodus chapter 6. Then the Lord said to Moses, "Now you will see what I will do to Pharaoh. Because of my mighty hand, he will let them go. Because of my mighty hand, he will drive them out of his country." God also said to Moses, "I am the Lord. I appeared to Abraham, to Isaac, and to Jacob as God Almighty. But by my name, the Lord, I did not make myself fully known to them. I also established my covenant with them to give them the land of Canaan where they resided as foreigners. Moreover, I have heard the groaning of the Israelites, whom the Egyptians are enslaving, and I have remembered my covenant. Therefore say to the Israelites, I am the Lord, and I will bring you out from under the yoke of the Egyptians. I will free you from being slaves to them, and I will redeem you with an outstretched arm with mighty acts of judgment. I will take you as my own people, and I will be your God. Then you will know that I am the Lord your God, who brought you out from under the yoke of the Egyptians. And I will bring you to the land I swore with uplifted hand to give to Abraham and to Isaac and to Jacob. I will give it to you as a possession. I am the Lord." Moses reported this to the Israelites, but they did not listen. They did not listen to him because of their discouragement and harsh labor. Then the Lord said to Moses, "Go and tell the king of Egypt to let the Israelites go out of his country." But Moses said to the Lord, "If the Israelites will not listen to me, why would Pharaoh listen to me, since I speak with faltering lips?" Now the Lord spoke to Moses and Aaron about the Israelites and Pharaoh, king of Egypt, and he commanded them to bring the Israelites out of Egypt. These were the heads of their families. The sons of Reuben and the firstborn of Israel were Hanoch and Palu, Hezron and Carmi. These were the clans of Reuben. The sons of Simeon were Jamil, Jamin, Ohad, Jachin, Zohar, and Shaul, the son of the Canaanite women. These were the clans of Simeon. These were the names of the sons of Levi according to their records: Gershon, Kohath, and Merari. Levi lived 137 years. The sons of Gershon by clans were Lebni and Shimei. The sons of Kohath were Aram, Izhar, Hebron, and Uzal. Kohath lived 133 years. The sons of Merari were Mahali and Mushi. These were the clans of Levi according to their records. Amram married his father's sister Jochebed, who bore him Aaron and Moses. Amram lived 137 years. The sons of Izhar were Korath, Nepheg, and Zikri. The sons of Uziel were Mishael, Elzaphan, and Zithri. Aaron married Elisheba, daughter of Aminadab and sister of Nahshon, and she bore him Nadab and Abihu, Eliezer, and Ithamar. The sons of Kohar were Asher, Elkanah, and Abisaph. These were the Korathite clans. Eleazar, son of Aaron, married one of the daughters of Petuel, and she bore him Phinehas. These were the heads of the Levite families, clan by clan. It was this Aaron and Moses to whom the Lord said, "Bring the Israelites out of Egypt by their divisions." They were those ones who spoke to the Pharaoh, king of Egypt, about bringing the Israelites out of Egypt. This same Moses and Aaron. Now, when the Lord spoke to Moses in Egypt, he said to him, I am the Lord. Tell Pharaoh, the king of Egypt, everything I tell you. But Moses said to the Lord, since I speak with faltering lips, why would Pharaoh listen to me? Now for the deep dive in Exodus 6. Exodus 6 marks a pivotal moment in the history of deliverance, not through action, but through identity and promise. God doesn't start with new miracles. He starts by reinforcing himself. In verses 2, he declares, I am the Lord. This is the name Yahweh, the covenantal name of God, used here to emphasize faithfulness and presence. God reveals that while he was known to the patriarchs as El Shaddai, God Almighty, he is also making himself known in a new way as Yahweh, the one who will act powerfully on behalf of his people. This isn't a contradiction. It's a progressive revelation. El Shaddai emphasizes God's might and provision, especially in the promise-making era with Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. But now, God reveals himself as a promise keeper. This shift marks a major development in the theological understanding of God's relationship to his people. Verse 6 introduces a powerful sequence of promises using the phrase, I will, 7 times, a biblical number often symbolizing completeness. These declarations outline the arc of salvation: deliverance from oppression, freedom from slavery, redemption with power, and the formation of a covenantal people. In Hebrew, the word used for redeem in verse 6 is ga'alel, a legal term referring to a family member rescuing a relative from slavery or debt. God is presenting himself not just as a sovereign power, but as a kinsman redeemer personally invested in their freedom. The people, however, are too broken to believe. Verses 9 says they don't listen because their discouragement and harsh labor. The Hebrew word for discouragement is kotzer, rant or hach, literally shortness of breath or impatience of spirit. Their suffering has suffocated their hope. This verse captures something deeply human. Sometimes we can't hear God's promise even when the weight of the world is, especially when the weight of the world is too heavy. Moses, too, is still battling his own insecurity. He asks again, why would Pharaoh listen to me? He's caught between a people who won't listen and a king who won't yield. Yet, this tension is the soil in which God's power will soon be revealed. The genealogy in verses 14 through 27 might seem out of place, but it plays a critical narrative function. It roots Moses and Aaron in Israelites' tribal history, specifically in the line of Levi, the priestly tribe. The passage legitimizes their leadership, connecting their mission to the foundational identity of Israel. It also marks the emergence of a priestly line that will later mediate between God and his people. Historically, genealogies in ancient Israel weren't just records, they were theological tools. They affirmed belonging, covenantal authority, and divine election. Aaron's descendants, especially through Eleazar and Phinehas, will become central to the Levitical priesthood. This insertion of names prepares us for the liturgical structure of Israel that will be established after Exodus. There's also something poetic in how God is building his deliverance strategy through family lines, not military strength. Redemption in God's story often comes not from heroes with swords, but from fathers, mothers, siblings, and families rooted in promise. The chapter ends with another personal moment of doubt. Moses again says he has faltering lips. The Hebrew phrase is ariel saphaterium, literally uncircumcised lips, a metaphor for speech that is not worthy or able to carry divine truth. It's a powerful expression of human inadequacy, but God doesn't rebuke him here. Instead, he simply restates the command. This reveals a pattern. Divine commission is often paired with human limitation. God uses the reluctant, the weak, and the broken, not in spite of their weaknesses, but through them. Exodus 6 is a slow-burning chapter. It doesn't showcase signs and wonders. It showcases God's character. Before the plagues, before the Red Sea, before Sinai, there is this quiet but thunderous declaration. I am the Lord. I will deliver. I will redeem. I will be your God. And that's the foundation of the whole story of Exodus, that the whole story of Exodus rests upon. Now for some final reflections. This chapter reminds me how patient and personal God is with us. He doesn't just demand action. He affirms who he is. In the middle of chaos and confusion, he speaks with clarity and compassion. I think about the Israelites so overwhelmed they couldn't even hear the good news. I've been there. Maybe you have too. But God's promises don't depend on how ready we are to receive them. They're steady, they're unfolding. And Moses, I admire his honesty. He doesn't pretend to be confident. He's afraid, unsure, and even after hearing God's voice, he doubts himself. But God doesn't give up on him. That encourages me. Sometimes we think God is waiting for us to get it together before he can use us. But Moses' story reminds us that faithfulness isn't about being perfect. It's about being willing. If this chapter stirred anything in you, or something stood out that I didn't mention, drop a comment. I'd love to hear what God is showing you. We're learning together. Thank you for being here. May you carry the reminder that God is faithful even when we feel uncertain, and that his promises are still undergoing, even when the world around us says otherwise. We'll see you in the next chapter of Exodus and tomorrow, and we'll see you in continuing the discussion.